Our next guest is an Emmy and Tony-nominated actress you know from shows such as Rectify, Search Party, and her role as Jerry on Succession. She's in the cast of the new stop-motion comedy series In the Know, which begins streaming on Peacock January 25th. Let's take a look.
Oh, a woman my age doesn't have to worry about style. I always tell my hairdresser, just try to make my head look invisible.
I think you look great.
Me too. I totally smash. For real, Barb.
Thank you.
You too, Carl.
Hey.
Please welcome to the show, Jade Smith-Cameron, everybody.
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Good. I'm wonderful because I'm seeing you again after I saw you last week at the Emmys. You were nominated again, well-deserved.
Lost again.
Lost again. Lost again, but an honor to be nominated, yes?
Definitely. It's
okay,
an
good.
end in itself.
And it was a good group. You were in a very good category, good group.
Yes, I mean, all those ladies had really juicy parts, and sometimes I would just be in like one scene an episode, so really, I had no business even being...
You have plenty of business being there. I thought it was a real testament to your work that you
I thought if I, by some chance, won, I'd be like, get up there and go, I demand a recount.
You would demand a recount against your own best interest. It still must be so special when Succession wins, especially this being its last Emmys. It must feel so great to even be a part of a show that wins, even though...
oh, definitely, definitely. It was such a collaborative show, too.
Yes.
So that's particularly true in those cases.
I think one of the favorite arcs of the show was, what happened with Jerry and Roman. I mean, it was a really cool... really weird.
Really?
And certainly, based on the first few times we saw you guys together, none of us would have predicted where it went. I'm assuming the same for you.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, it was deeply strange.
Deeply strange. Making it even more deeply strange, you've known Kieran Culkin forever. He'd been in plays with you. He'd been in films with you. Your husband, Ken Lonergan, a great playwright, has worked with him many times. Did that make it worse?
No, it made it easier. Like, we were pals, and I was used to his snarky sense of humor, and my husband has a sarcastic sense of humor, and I'm trying to learn how to have a more sarcastic sense of humor and keep up with them. I think it came about because we would sort of mock flirt on the set all the time, and that show, the writers were so collaborative with us. They would take hints from how we behaved on set and then write toward that.
Oh my God! So it's your fault.
It's Kieran's fault.
It's Kieran's fault. Kieran, by the way, I love Kieran a great deal. Kieran is an agent of chaos.
Yes.
In real life.
Yes.
And we actually have a clip to prove just what a little, he makes mischief. And let's take a look at here you are on the red carpet.
Mom scams.
And I love Kieran Culkin, and he's my absolute favorite to work with, even though he's an ass to me, and I hate him in a personal life.
You really hate me, don't you?
Yeah.
You look lovely. You smell nice.
Kiss.
Okay.
I mean, I get if the writers of Succession saw that, they're like, we're missing something here. Here's a photo you brought us. Can you tell us what happened to Kieran right there?
Yes. So that was one evening after a table read, and we all went to dinner, and he was just writing me the whole time, like being horrid, and like if I couldn't hear something that was, everyone would laugh at something that was said on the other end of the table, and I'd be like, what'd he say, what'd he say? He'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, dear, did you forget your hearing aids? Or like, if I yawned, he'd be like, is it past your bedtime? That's so terrible. So, at one point I just threw my martini at him.
Yeah, there you go. That's why you should, well within your rights. Well within your rights.
He was asking for it.
You are, a very integral cast member on one of the biggest shows in recent years. I would imagine you get recognized a great deal more. I mean, you've been on stage for years, you've been in television for years, but it must be a weird sensation. Have you noticed the shift?
Yes, somewhat, yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are like, "Oh, Team Jerry,"
Yeah.
I don't really know if my name, Jade Smith-Cameron, is known. Like,
gotcha. Right. You're just a Jerry to them. Yes. Okay.
Like I met the maitre d' at a popular restaurant recently, and they said, you know, if you want to come in, just text me, and I'll put a word in. You know, I'll contact the maitre d', the person on the desk. And I tried that.
Yeah.
And I got there before his text had come in, and I was like, "Hi, I'm J. Smith Cameron." And they were like, do you have a reservation? I was like, no, but, you know, Courtney said he would call. And that, you know, nothing. And it reminded me of this old joke. I don't know if you've ever heard it, but, you know, okay, the joke goes, a quasi-famous actress, let's say her name is J. Smith Cameron, is in a restaurant, and, you know, the waiter brings her the wrong dish or something, and is kind of snooty about it. So J. Smith Cameron goes, "Do you know who I am?" And the waiter says, "Give me a hint." And then the actress says, "I'm J. Smith Cameron." And the waiter says, "Give me another hint."
Now, before you had this recognizable face and name, you used to sneak into the Plaza Hotel. This is back in your, before auditions.
Right.
You were living in Washington Heights at the time.
That's right.
How would you find your way to sneaking into the Plaza?
Okay, yes. Well, so I lived in Washington Heights, which is, you know, very far from Midtown, where all the auditions seem to be. And I just developed a sort of Holly-go-lightly kind of routine where I found that the restrooms at the Plaza Hotel, which was then still a hotel, they had a wonderful woman working there, and there'd be like cosmetics laid out, and you could wash your face, you could brush your teeth, and, you know, I'd tip her and I'd have a little chat with her. And then I would go to Bergdorf Goodman and put on makeup. And then I was kind of camera ready for my
very
audition.
well played.
Yeah.
Very well played.
Yeah.
Very
and I knew which
crafty.
hotel lobbies were friendly. You could go and look at your sides, your study. You know.
No, look at that. You have a daughter, 21 years old.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, who's also, I should note, has known then Kieran her whole life.
That's exactly right.
Does that make Succession hard to watch?
She refuses to watch.
Okay.
When she heard about that relationship, she was like, "Mom," like she got home from school that day, she's like, "Mom, is what I heard true?" And I was like, "Well, I think so." And she would like, "How could you? Why would you do that?" And I was like, "Well, I didn't single-handedly do it. You know, it's written into the story." But she was
and
like,
one would say Kieran single-handedly did it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know, by the way. And so, but she was, you know, she's not, she's a really sweet kid. Like, she's a good kid, but she has a really fun, witty sense of humor. But, you know, when they're teenagers or middle school age, they get so embarrassed all the time. Like, like I remember trying to wake her up for middle school and trying to wake myself up to walk her to middle school. And I was blasting Michael Jackson and singing along with it. And she was just like, "Mom, cut that out. You're so embarrassing." And I was like, "Nellie, we're alone in the apartment." And she said, "Mom, that's how embarrassing you are."
I had a sweeter version of the same thing. My son and I were dancing the other day, and he goes, "I love when you dance at home." And he goes, "But I don't think you should do it out of the house." That was a very funny clip of this beautiful animation, gorgeous animation.
They're puppets.
And you play a producer on an NPR-style show.
Exactly.
And did you enjoy it? It must have been nice to, considering all the travel and the locations of Succession, it must have been nice just to go into a sound booth.
Yes, it was. It's great. It's a really good group. Also a very collaborative kind of team.
Yeah.
And my character's sort of the straight man in a way, although she says funny things. She's the producer of the NPR show and sort of the den mother of them.
Oh, it's very funny. I highly recommend it. And it's just been so lovely having you here, Jay. Thanks for coming. Come again soon. J. Smith Cameron, everybody. In the Know begins streaming on Peacock January 25th. It's very funny. We'll be right back with music from Baby Tate.